Thank you. Minister Freeland, a new Leger survey indicates that 1 in 5 young Canadians is either delaying or has given up on their dream of ever owning a home. With inflation and interest rates rising and the hope of Canadians plummeting, this dream-killing Trudeau government is a far cry from the sunny ways of 2015. Bill C-30, which is supposed to provide relief from the skyrocketing cost of living by increasing the GST credit, obviously took these huge inflationary pressures into account. So as Minister of Finance, I'm sure you will know this off the top of your head. How much does just inflation cost the typical Canadian family?
Madame la Ministre.
Okay. Well, thank you for the question, Senator. And I'm going to address the housing part of your question because I think it is really important. And the April budget focused a lot on housing. I think there is a housing challenge in Canada quite separate from the impact of the COVID recession and its after effects. The good news about Canada is we have a growing population. I think that's great. I think that's important for our economy, and I think it's good for our society. But we are not building enough homes to keep up with that growing population. And so in our budget, we put in place a number of measures which are designed to drive an increase in the supply of homes, in the building of more homes in Canada. That's something that we are absolutely committed to, working with provinces, working with municipalities. From my perspective, that is the core of Canada's housing challenge, and that's something we are very committed to addressing.
Senator Batters.
Thank you. My question was actually how much inflation costs the typical Canadian family, but I'll move on. Minister Freeland, regarding GST, it's actually shocking that your government charges GST on top of the Trudeau carbon tax. So how much will your government then rake in from all that extra tax? What about when your Trudeau government triples that carbon tax? The only promises that your government seems to keep these days are those that pick Canadians' pockets, which is why I have no doubt your government will actually keep that commitment to triple the carbon tax on Canadians' heating bills, on their gas, and on their groceries. Minister, how much more will your government's heartless tax hike take from struggling Canadians?
Madame la Ministre.
Okay. Well, I guess we're talking about the price on pollution, and I'm happy to do that. I want to talk about it from a finance minister's perspective. And what I think it's really important for us to understand as a country, and I know Senator Tanis is an Alberta senator, this is something that I actually believe is really understood today in Alberta. It's really understood in our oil and gas sector. It's understood across the country. And that is that the green transition is real. Our major partners around the world have decided to go all in on the green transition. The EU has been doing that for some time. The United States, with the Inflation Reduction Act, has really gone all in as well. And strictly from an economic point of view, what I think we really need to recognize as a country is these guys are our clients. They are our markets, and they are all in on the green transition. And so my belief is to build an economy for today and for the future, Canada has to be there too, to ensure that our markets and our customers are there for Canada. I really believe that when it comes to the green transition, we need to understand this is a shift comparable in scale to the Industrial Revolution itself. It's going to take a lot of private capital investing. It's going to take a lot of government investment, and we've invested a lot already. And the price on pollution is part of that shift. It is the most economically effective way to accomplish that transition. In fact, in the parliamentary elections in 2021, the Conservative Party campaigned on a price on pollution.
Well, yeah, that was quite some time ago. And Minister, we're not talking about a climate plan. We're talking about a tax plan, and a massive one at that. But Minister, the short title for your act, for your Bill C-30, it states it's for targeted tax relief. But here's what it certainly does not relieve. For a family living in rural Nova Scotia who needs to heat their home in the dead of a brutal Atlantic winter, who needs to feed 3 teenagers groceries every week, and who needs to fuel their vehicle not only to get to their jobs, but also to take their kids to hockey tournaments around the province on weekends, they can't bike to work. They can't send their kids on a subway or public transit system. How much does the Trudeau carbon tax cost that rural Nova Scotian family right now? And also, how much will it cost when you triple that Trudeau carbon tax on the family's heating bill, when you triple it on their gas, and when you triple it on their groceries? Minister, you claim you want to get this money under Bill C-30 to vulnerable Canadians right away, but how much will you ultimately just tax away by tripling the Trudeau carbon tax on their gas, heat, and groceries?
Madame la Ministre.
Well, I think all of us in this room are agreed. It seems like it. I've heard from most people on supporting this specific inflation relief measure, and I'm glad about that. And I was actually at a time of a lot of partisanship and acrimony. It was a good moment today in the House of Commons that there was unanimous support for this measure. But I do think, Senator, that you and I will need to agree to differ when it comes to the urgency of climate action and the effectiveness of a price on pollution as part of the way that Canada gets there. Someone, though, who does agree with a price on pollution as an important measure in that effort is Preston Manning. I think he was one of the people who initially advocated for it. I would urge us all, partisanship is part of our political system, and I recognize that, and I think our political system works. But I would urge us to think about a price on pollution in a non-partisan way, and to think about it as a mechanism that will help our whole country in the most economically effective way possible to accomplish what is a huge, huge and really necessary economic shift.